Come today, Eagle Eyes on Tech. Nintendo reveals just about all the details about the Switch 2, and the internet gets furious about it. I've got some very interesting takes in regards to that. We'll get into all of that, including the prices of the games. Nvidia GPU drivers are causing issues with games. TikTok gets more time to sell itself, and Studio Ghibli is not amused with OpenAI in one little bit. All that more come today on Eagle Eyes on Tech. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or it's 2 a.m. Good already. This is Eagle Eyes on Tech. I am Eagle Falcon. We got a lot to talk about today, as I mentioned in the tease. However, we have a few housekeeping items to talk about first. So, first things first, there's a large amount of legacy Eagle Eyes on Tech episodes that are going to vanish off Spotify. I believe they're probably just going to go into draft mode and just be pulled from just about every single source out there. The main reason is copyright. It turned out that one of the bumpers I was using way back in the day, we thought we were kind of in the clear because it was just video game music, and video game music doesn't get copyright claimed. It's a different day and age now. It does get copyright claimed. Oddly enough, another reason some episodes are getting pulled is because the bumper music we used to use was from the Fat Rat, who is a well-known music artist for royalty-free music. Apparently, this only applies on YouTube, because if you use it elsewhere, that gets you a claim, or someone pretending to be the Fat Rat is issuing the claim. So those episodes are being taken down. And finally, and this is the funniest and stupidest one, and the ones that I'm fighting the hardest, because the other ones are just, okay, I messed up. I can't deny that, yeah, I use those tracks. No, I don't have the footage for those episodes anymore. I can't remove the music without, like, spending a lot of time. And let's also be honest here for a minute. Eagle Eyes on Tech is not exactly an evergreen podcast. For the most part, once a new episode has come out, the previous episode is almost useless. We are very much a podcast that is based on current events, and thus, the moment the episode is a week or two old, that's it. Its shelf life is done. So I don't plan on doing anything about it. But the last set of episodes are being pulled because allegedly because the Star Wars Cantina band was used in them. Yeah. Now, I've never used the Star Wars Cantina band in my bumpers, so I had to go back and see what the heck they were talking about. And sure enough, apparently back when the podcast was run by Anchor, apparently sometimes if there was just no commercial for them to put into a break, they would just play the Star Wars Cantina band. I am dead serious. Because sure enough, I pull up the episode. I never put it in. I don't have the Star Wars Cantina. I don't even have the sound files for the Star Wars Cantina band anywhere on any one of my workstations saved anywhere. There's no reason for me to use such an audio piece because it's so heavily copyrighted. But the only thing I can assume is that Anchor put this in. It's the only assumption I can come to. Maybe one of the other providers, maybe it was Spreaker that put it in. Maybe those episodes were that old. I don't know. But those I'm going to go ahead and fight and say, like, hey, I never did this. And most likely because the audio is in there, they're just going to get pulled anyway. I don't plan on doing anything about it. It just is what it is. So there's that housekeeping. There's also the housekeeping of why I wasn't here last week. So last week, Sunday, I literally woke up with a 104-degree fever. That's not an exaggeration. And so pretty much all day Sunday, I was just completely loopy, out of commission, completely useless, dead to the world. And then eventually I had to go to urgent care on Monday after realizing that whatever this was, it was not being slept off. And it turned out I had cellulitis, which, by the way, if left untreated, is life-threatening. So I'm fine now. I'm on meds. The condition has lessened severely. Almost all the swelling is gone. Almost all the redness is gone. It's not 100% better, but it is like 90% better. And I just want to say this much. If something seems off, don't be like me and just shrug it off. Go ahead and just actually go into an urgent care and at least get it taken a look at. Okay, because you never know when it is something that actually is something you need to take action for. Even if your entire life, like me, you've been able to just kind of shrug off most things. All right. So there's my PSAs. That being said, let's move on to the least PSA thing of all, and that is the Nintendo Switch 2. The Nintendo Switch 2 Direct recently happened. I did in fact actually watch and cover it. It is on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/EagleFalcon. And man, people have takes. People have some takes. Let me tell you. So here's what you basically need to know. The screen is bigger. The controllers are bigger. The processor is bigger and more powerful. The battery life is pretty much exactly the same. And I want to stress that it is exactly the same as the original Switch. Not the upgrades of the Switch, the original Switch. So you are taking a battery hit compared to a more recently refreshed Switch. You are going back to 2 to 6 hours, which is what the original Switch had, as opposed to 4 to 8. And even then I'm rounding down. It's like 2.5 actually compared to 4, but I digress. Okay. The controllers do attach magnetically. The magnets are inside the Switch. The little shoulder buttons inside the Joy-Cons are made of metal that then attaches magnetically. It does have backwards compatibility to the Switch 1. However, they say that some issues may occur. With that also said, though, certain first-party games and third-party games may instead use what is referred to an upgrade pack, meaning that you pay a bit extra with your base game and you get a version that's optimized for the Switch 2 with additional features. The features are going to vary from game to game. That's just, almost what you expect. There is going to be a Switch upgrade to the Switch Online service. GameCube games are going to be added. That is coming on the Switch 2 launch. That is going to be around. Someone in chat asked how much extra. So pricing is weird because it's going to be varied from game to game. The example we were given was $20. So for example, for like the latest Mario Party game, $60 for the original, $20 for the extra pack, $80 total. And that gets you integration with the camera, the chat features, and a few other extra modes in there. And it's going to be up to you whether that's worth it to you, or do you rather just say, you know what, I think I'd rather just play my base version. Otherwise, you just get the Switch 2 version. That brings to the price of games. Game pricing so far, we've seen anywhere from $70 to $80 per game. And keep in mind, this is for 2 games. Two games that we've seen, $70 and $80. That is what we've seen so far with the Switch 2. There is a built-in, or there is a camera accessory to combine with Discord-like game chat systems, so people can see your face. They'll use the RTX cores on the Switch to kind of roto you out and kind of give you a green screen effect. And it records at about the quality you'd expect from Nintendo. You can also stream your gameplay to friends through the Switch, and the quality is roughly what you would expect. They showed us just it basically being about 720p to people at roughly 5 frames a second, which, yeah, that's about what I expected from Nintendo, to be honest. The function is there. The function is not great. That being said, though, the screen is good. It is an LCD screen. It is 8.9 inches. It is 120 hertz and it is LCD. Oh, it is 1080p. Inside the dock, it is capable of 4K. I am willing to bet that's going to be 4K upscaled using DLSS. In addition, the dock has a fan built in it. The Switch 2 starts at $449 or $499 with a copy of Mario Kart World, which is their latest Mario Kart game that, I'm not going to lie, for a Mario Kart game, looks really good. So that's basically all the details. Okay, that's what we know. Mario Kart World will be available on launch with the Switch on June 5th. There is a DK game that we know is going to be $69.99. That is going to launch in mid-July. I want to say July 16th is when it's going to launch. That's going to be for $70. Now, of course, I personally did expect the Switch to cost $400. I expected the Switch to be $400. $450 was like the high end of what I expected. So, you know, to see it hit the high end is a little disappointing, in my opinion. You want the hottest take in the world? Here's my hot take for you. And here's where it stops being here's where it stops being just me reporting on facts and my opinions. I think every single outlet, influencer, and everyone saying that Nintendo is the greediest SOBs ever because they're charging $80 for a game are absolutely dumb. You are the biggest idiots to ever blight the planet and have been shut into what's been going on in the entire gaming industry, and you should be ashamed of yourselves. Really? $80 games where you draw the line. $80 game with no microtransactions, no anything in sight. But you will praise the $60 game that goes ahead and microtransaction another $200 out of you? You're going to praise the $70 game that might as well be a casino with the amount of loot boxes in it? You're going to praise the half a game for $60 that then charges another $120 for the other half of the game released as season DLC? Really? Really? You're a bunch of idiots. The biggest fools out there. This is where you draw the line right here. When this gaming industry has treated you like the world's dumbest wallet forever because they lure you in by saying a game is free, but then milk you for hundreds upon hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But no, $80 game, one-time purchase. That's where you draw the line. Oh, look at how moral you are. You know what I appreciate about Nintendo? Let me tell you what I appreciate about Nintendo. Nintendo is honest. You may not think that $80 for a racing game is a good buy, but you know what? You know it's $80. You know it's not $20, but then 3/4 of the game is locked, and then you end up spending another $100 to unlock the rest of the game. Nintendo doesn't play those games. They're very upfront with what they do. And I personally appreciate that. Do I think that $80 for a game is okay? I'll have to see. I'm not going to dismiss it outright. If there's enough value in the game between its open world racing, between its 48 person or however many Grand Prix racing games there is, or it's advertised vehicle changing between the various field mechanisms and all the various this and that's that it has. If I feel that's worth $80, heck, I'll pay for it. If the price, this is what I prefer about it. I would rather you just put up the price straight up front, and then we talk about whether you're worth it or not. Not some, I'm going to go ahead and charge you $60 for the latest Call of Duty, and then go ahead and 100% of everything behind a battle pass, and then expect you to shell out another $100 a month to go ahead and keep up on all the extra stuff from the battle pass. That you're fine with, but the moment a game is $20 extra, oh, that's a bridge too far. Shut up. The gaming commentary space right now is absolutely gross and disingenuous, and you all need to be slapped. That's my opinion about the whole thing. Am I going to be there and buy a Switch 2 on day one? Am I going to go pre-order this thing? I don't know. I want to, because as a streamer, I know that a Switch 2 will help the stream, and I can go ahead and recoup this and actually have it be an investment. But $450 is still a lot of money. There is also a couple other elephants in the room. One being this, which this I'm actually a lot less thrilled with than I am about the pricing of the video games. So apparently some of the games, someone in chat asked, are some of the features hidden behind a Nintendo subscription? If they are, we have not been told. Someone in chat, I'm not going to buy the game as I don't play racing games, and Nintendo has lost a lot of goodwill due to their Pocket Pair lawsuit, and you find $80, but you find $80 for a full game is fair. That's exactly where I stand. I'm not going to say $80 for a full game is fair. I'd say $80 for a good game is fair. Like, you're not going to go ahead and convince me that, say, Undertale, for instance, is worth $80. It's not. Undertale isn't $80 though. You start seeing the problem. The other thing is also I have a Steam Deck now, like right here. And there's a good chance the Switch 2 will outperform the Steam Deck. Probably not by much, but it still probably will a little bit. But many of the indie games I can get on the Switch, I can get on here, and this is just as portable. So, you know, these are all things I got to consider. These are all things I'd say that you as a consumer should also consider. Someone in chat says Undertale costs $25. You'd find that fair. I think actually Undertale is cheaper than $25. Is cheaper. The Steam Deck technically is cheaper than the Switch 2. I would not. All right, let me restate this. I would not, under any circumstances, get if you can afford the step up version from the cheapest Steam Deck, get the step up version from the cheapest Steam Deck. You're getting better battery life, better screen, better quality components, and like quadruple the storage. I would strongly recommend not getting the base version of the Steam Deck. That is just my personal opinion, but it is not a very uncommon personal opinion. But getting to this, one of the other big problems with the Switch 2, what they're saying is that some Nintendo Switch 2 games, and this is something to keep an eye out for, is that it's some of the Switch 2 cartridges are not going to have the physical game on it. Also, first off, for every single gaming outlet that says this is the first time this has ever been done, you all are stupid. I just want to state that again. The amount of game cartridges contains almost no data, and you have to download everything, and it's the first Nintendo opened the floodgates. You are stupider than... No! This has been a standard for way too long. Where the frick were you idiots? I swear, gaming journalists and gaming frickin' reporters took vast amounts of stupid when they went and talked about Nintendo. I swear all of them were Palworld fans and just wanted to misreport on Nintendo, to which I say, no, that's disingenuous. It makes you look like a fool. Look, I don't like Nintendo's business practice either. And I think getting a game cart and having the game cart only have a license to use the game, and then you have to download the game from online, most likely because the game cannot fit on the 64, probably not even. What do you think the capacity of a Switch cart is? 16 gigs? And then you have to use the cart, have the cart in as a authentication key to use it. That's stupid. But here's the thing. This has been industry standard for freaking 3 generations now on the disc side of things. Now, keep in mind, only some Nintendo Switch 2 games are going to be like this, much like PS4. It will tell you straight up on the front of the game that it is a game key card, which I'm not going to lie. If that's really going to be the way it's going to be, it's either a game key card or a digital game. Just go download the digital one. especially since Nintendo now actually does support digital game sharing. I know they're doing so much to actually catch up with everyone else. Actually, now I'm curious, what is the capacity of a Nintendo Switch cart? Because I have to assume the Switch 2 carts are going to be very, very similar. According to Google AI, which is about 50% correct, it says 32 gigabytes. So yeah, if the game exceeds 32 gigabytes, it'll probably just be a key card, or if the dev hates you. So right now, unfortunately, it's hard for me to judge how this is going to end up. Like, everyone's looking for reasons to be mad at Nintendo and calling Nintendo greedy and whatnot. Let me tell you something. This one, Nintendo isn't greed. Greed with Nintendo, Nintendo really isn't that much of a greedy company. They make a lot of maneuvers to make sure they stay very overtly profitable. But when I think of greed, I think of a game that costs, $40 per expansion, $15 a month subscription fee, and then goes ahead and locks cosmetics and other cool items behind a shop where each emote costs $7 a pop. That is greedy. Someone in chat says size doesn't mean anything with the analysis. Most of the Game Key games announced are 15 gig. Where did they announce Game Key games? And I want a first party source on this. Because man, let me tell you, third party sources suck at reporting anything Switch related lately. Actually, why do we use that terminology? Why is it always first or third party? Who's the second party? Am I this? Actually, you know what? Yes, I am the second party. Never mind, I answered my own question. The consumer is the second party. They were looking this up on a work PC yesterday. Okay. This kind of goes along the whole lines of earlier when everyone was saying every single Switch game is going to be $80 plus. And that's easily disproven by looking at the Donkey Kong game. Game journalists right now, man. All right, we have an article. Oh boy, it's IGN. Yeah, this article is useless. So what this article is talking about is the game sizes of things. And the unfortunate thing is that it doesn't say if any of them are in fact going to be what's the exact term? I already lost it now. Are going to be switched to game key cards. So this still doesn't tell us anything in regards to what is going to be and what isn't going to be a game key card. Nintendo just said that this is a thing that will exist. And we just don't know what that means. So we still don't know. We still don't know, and people are jumping to the conclusions because we don't know. And people want to know, which I understand that. But this is how misinformation gets started. Here's what is interesting, though. As I said, the Nintendo Switch is $450. Now, whenever you talk about price nowadays, you have to include the dreaded T word, because I live in an economic hellscape. And you have to wonder, if it weren't for the T word or the I word, how much would the Nintendo Switch 2 actually cost? Well, in this case, we don't know about with the I word. But without the T word, theoretically, the Switch 2 would cost $340, because the Switch 2 is apparently going for sale in Japan for 49,980 yen, which is around $340, according to GameRant.com. Well then. Now, granted, this cheaper version only supports Japanese. You have to have a Japanese account, and it's basically, there's no chance of importing this cheaper version. Apparently, you can get an international version, but it costs 20,000 yen more, bring it up to roughly on par with the other ones. Now, here's where things get juicier, because, of course, while I was dead to the world, more of the dreaded T word was announced. And because of the dreaded T word, the Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders were delayed in the US. Well then, I mean, I'm just going to prepare for a $500 Nintendo Switch 2 minimum. That's just what I'm going to expect. Like some people are saying that the price could go up by nearly 50%, that we're going to end up with a, what would that be? A $700 Switch 2? I don't think it's going to be quite that bad, but you know, I'm not going to lie. I haven't been a fan of the tariffs plan in general. I try to keep my politics to myself, so I'm not going to go into too much more detail in that. But you know, going from the inflation, almost swore there for a minute, the inflation mess that we were in before to now even higher prices that are self-inflicted. Not a fan at all, and this is going to greatly affect sales. Someone in chat can't dodge the tariff talk being a tech podcast. The problem is that the instant you have to talk about anything that has a price, the T word has to come up because it is affecting everything. But it is what it is. That's where I stand on the Switch 2. It is getting a lot of hate lately. I think a lot of the haters for the Switch 2 are unjustified. I think a lot of it is really stupid. Someone in chat says Arizona iced tea was 90. Isn't Arizona iced tea still 99 cents? Wait, where is Arizona iced tea made? It is made in New Jersey, so it should not be affected by the T word. The Wii U 2, someone says. I don't think there's going to be a Wii U situation. The biggest problem with the Wii U, the problem is with the Wii U is that it had no games. All right, I don't know what people are talking about with Arizona iced tea. It is still 99 cents a can. But no, and the Switch 2 may still become a Wii U just because of its price, but it's very clear that Nintendo learned from the Wii U when making this sequel console. They are keeping their gimmicks pretty similar to the base. They're not trying to do like a tablet thing like with the Wii U. They're not trying to go ahead and be, you know, radically different or anything like that. You know, they're playing it safe with the Switch 2. The biggest problem the Switch 2 has is the cost. And hopefully they can get that cost down. And I think here in the US it's going to be especially bad. Although now I got to wonder, how much money would I save if I took a road trip up to Canada to go get a Switch 2? Assuming that the price hike is as bad as people are fearing it's going to be. I wonder. But anyway, that's all the news for the Switch 2. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, I got a lot more to talk about, including a lot of Nvidia news and how they are bungling their driver situation. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. Laptops now have the Nvidia RTX 5000 series GPUs in them. And here's what's infuriating. Nvidia started this a while back, and they still are doing it to this day. They are marking them as the exact same GPU as the desktop one. So it's still an RTX 5090, it's still an RTX 5080, it's still an RTX 5070, etc, etc, etc. However, the performance is drastically reduced. It's close, but I mean, the RTX 5090 in a laptop is comparable to the performance you'd see of a desktop 5080. And already the performance of a 5080 is not great. So I mean, the laptops are out there. They exist. I'm going to be very curious what the price is of a gaming laptop with an RTX 5000 series in it, because Nvidia is not letting these chips go cheap. Oh, look, it's a 5060 inside a laptop. That means it can game decently. $2,000. Like, how much are these going to be realistically? I don't expect good prices. At least I can count on one thing. I can count on the laptop not catching fire. But, you know, it just is what it is. I'm more excited to see these laptops come onto the used market and hopefully be made of something other than cheap nonsense. Oh, right. I forgot the T word. It's actually 3K. Anyway, some people are saying that the performance is good and whatnot, but honestly, like, because of the T word, you know what? If you don't know what the T word is by now, I want you to invent whatever you think the T word is. And then let me know what you think the T word is. This will be fun and exciting. I can't wait for people to assume that everything is becoming more expensive because of testicles. In any case, we have more news regarding the RTX 5060 Ti and 5060s coming out, and basically it all boils down to, yeah, they're just gonna still not have enough RAM. Now, some reports are saying that the 5060 Ti will have both 8 gigs and 16 gig variants, but hear me out, they won't. Nvidia knew that the VRAM was going to be an issue from the get-go. If they actually cared about their VRAM issues, they would have fixed them before these GPUs launched. I guarantee you the 5060 and 5060 Ti are going to launch with exactly as much RAM as the 40 series did. It's going to be 8 gigabytes. 100%. I will be stunned if they learn their lesson and add 16 gigs. And before you go, well, and AMD's going to go ahead and launch it with more RAM. Yeah, they are. Let me ask you something. Do you really think Nvidia, of all people, Nvidia, the people who are currently going out of their way to try and be as anti-consumer as possible, and I mean actually anti-consumer, not the fake anti-consumer that people are saying because Nintendo's willing to launch an $80 game and then say you can either take it or leave it. That's not anti-consumer. That's just putting out a big price tag and making you make a choice. That's just being corporate. Anti-consumer would be going ahead, intentionally releasing a lack of product, gaslight you into thinking there's plenty of it, but the demand is actually that high. Go ahead and actually lie to the market and say that there is plenty, while actually using their actual stock to go ahead and actually just continue to power the data center market that is actually paying the bottom roll, while telling all the other markets that no, we care about you. It's just that you're buying them all so quickly. That is anti-consumer. That is what Nvidia is actually taking part in. So yeah, we're going to get 2 new GPUs out of Nvidia. Guess what? I have no faith that they're going to be good buys. None. It doesn't help at all that Nvidia launches a brand new driver 572.xx that brings wonderful game crashing issues, including if you have the RTX 40 series too. What are you doing, Nvidia? Like, seriously, what are you even doing anymore? You're launching GPUs, you're putting them out at a snail's pace. A guy could handcraft these GPUs faster than you're mass producing them. You're trying to tell people that, oh, everything's fine. Meanwhile, the GPUs that are out there have tons of issues, start fires, and then when you try to fix it, you instead spread the issue to the previous customers. Look, Nvidia, just admit it. Just admit that there's going to be no 6000 series. Just admit that you're going to be strictly a data center company and just get out of the gaming market, because this is embarrassing. This really is. And I know you're working with a Nintendo right now to go ahead and launch a new console. I get that. You got to stop doing whatever the frick you're doing right now. Just like I said, this is 100% embarrassing. You want to know how I know it's bad too? Game developers are saying don't install the latest drivers. Roll back your drivers if you can, because it's making games perform like actual slop. But it's okay. AI so good. AI great. This is the insane space you live in right now in the PC gaming world. The best GPU you can buy right now is a used 30 series card, because the drivers for it are fully baked. It still has enough forward compatibility to play modern games. Its architecture supports PhysX. Like, it's your best option is buying a used GPU. This is how badly you messed up, Nvidia, where your newest card is the worst decision. That's sad. That is sad beyond belief. But here we are. That is the world we're in right now when it comes to PC building. But hey, maybe they can pick up the pace. Maybe Nvidia can look elsewhere to solve their problems. Maybe they can go ahead and look at, someone in chat says you still can't play FF16 on 30 series though. Well, then don't play with Nvidia. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe one of the AMD cards will get you better hopes. I don't know. I want to know how the heck FF16 botched compatibility with the most common GPU out there. In any case, reports are coming up that Nvidia may in fact be signing on with Intel to be producing new silicon. Now, unfortunately, the deal appears to be more for the Nvidia Broadcom side of things, for more of their, lesser SoCs that are used for like networking cards and that sort of thing. But it does mean that, if they do well enough, we could see Intel be making Nvidia GPUs. That could be something, They got plenty of fab space. It'd be good for Nvidia, for Intel. Maybe they learn a few things. The other thing is that also from the dreaded T-word perspective, Intel fabs are based halfly in the US. So that does get around the T-word, which, all in favor of that. Fewer T's paid, the better, if you ask me. But, what do I know? I'm just some guy. And while Intel is looking at a deal with Nvidia, Intel's also looking at a deal with TSMC. This is going to be to help speed up the manufacturing of fabs for both Intel and for TSMC. Now that could be very good, especially since, TSMC makes pretty much all silicon. If TSMC goes down, we already see what happens when that happens. Who remembers 2020? Do you remember 2020? I remember 2020. That sucked. Let's never do that again. So we'll have to see how well that works out. But deals are in the works for Intel and TSMC to work together, which may in fact help little ASRock over here. Because while I was gone, ASRock thought it'd be a cool idea to scorch some CPUs. ASRock's kind of one of those companies you don't hear about very often. Mostly because ASRock is basically the cheap side of Asus. By the way, ASRock and Asus are the same company if you didn't know. But they're still kind of separate enough. It's a weird thing. But basically ASRock is, we have Asus at home. But at the same time, if all you need is just a basic board, hey, ASRock's your way to go. Maybe not though, because with the Ryzen 9000 series CPUs, apparently there was a scorching issue where in fact some of the higher end Ryzen 9000 CPUs were just being straight up overvolted by the boards and killed. This was specifically with the 9800X3D, and ASRock verified that there is a required BIOS update that you have to go ahead and run. I'm not gonna lie. The thought of getting a motherboard and that I have to go ahead and run a BIOS update or else, a little terrifying, especially for CPU compatibility, because most systems won't let you BIOS update with no CPU in the board. That makes things really awkward. Maybe we can get around that nowadays, huh? Maybe. There actually might be a way around that. I have no idea. It's been so long since I've gone ahead and built a PC. But the thought of having to go through this extra step or else the CPU could catch fire is just not very attractive. But I imagine ASRock's going to go ahead and make sure that this is all taken care of. If you run into this issue, make sure you contact ASRock, as they'll get it taken care of timely-ish. You know what is not going to be taken care of timely-ish? The situation with 23andMe. Now, how many of you have heard of 23andMe? Put your hand down. I can't see it. 23andMe, if you don't know, it's one of those genetics companies. You send in a swab sample and it tells you your ethnicity and a whole bunch of other info and blah, 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 blah. The company is going under. The CEO has stepped down and left the burning ruins behind him. The company was once valued at $6 billion. They cannot find a bidder, and the company has never turned a profit. It is now declaring bankruptcy. See, this is the problem with like a lot of Silicon Valley companies. So many of these Silicon Valley companies kind of just operate on the thought process of we can go ahead and just be unprofitable and one day we'll make money. And then one day never comes. And then they're left going, didn't we have a good thing going for a while? And it turned out, no, you did not. You just had a good concept that was interesting and then you never monetized it. Welcome to 23andMe. They never went ahead and monetized anything. Wah, wah. Meanwhile, though, TikTok is now facing a 500 million euro fine for shipping out European user data over to China illegally. Quick, raise your hand if you're surprised by this. I almost got you to do it, didn't I? You're gonna admit it. I almost got you. Yeah, no one should be surprised by this. No one at all. This is what TikTok does. This is how they make their money. If an app is free, guess what? You're the product. If a product is free, you're the product. TikTok is free, you're the product. So of course it's going to go ahead and ship out customer data however it can to their homeland in China. Surprise, surprise, surprise. This should surprise literally no one. This is in fact the reason why there's a whole kerfuffle here in the US about the US division of TikTok being US owned, because they don't like the fact that there is a company that is so brazen about data collection and then sends it out to an intellectual adversary. Surprise. First off, I wish you luck, my friends across the pond. Good luck in getting your money out of TikTok. Good luck with that. In other news, though, TikTok is due to have to sell themselves within a couple of days or be banned. Quick, how do you think this goes down? All right. How do you think this goes down? Does TikTok A get sold off and everything goes as normal and as though nothing ever happened? B is failed to get sold off and then goes completely dark again? Or C, the can is kicked down the road and another, who knows, a couple months is added to the sell by date? What do you think it is? Is it A, B, or C? You know what? Let's take a break. I want you to think on that question, and then we'll see which one you picked. We'll be back. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. It's time to answer the quiz. The answer is, of course, if you know anything about anything involving the federal government, the answer is, of course, they extended the deadline. This should just be your default answer. Like, the moment that anyone says that, something involving government, do you think they went ahead and took action or delayed it? The answer is they delayed it. 100% every time they delayed it. And yes, TikTok is going to get another 75 days to decide on how to be sold. This allegedly is due to the dreaded T word being afflicted upon China, saying that this has kerfuffled the deal. I would say it's more likely because they didn't want to go through with banning TikTok again, more than anything. And this is just how things work. Everything is delay, delay, delay. The wheels of justice, etc., move slow, but they're moving. They're moving. And other such Christopher Walken quotes from weird FMV games. But yeah, that's what's going to happen with TikTok. They have 75 more days to go ahead and make a decision. Let's be honest, you're going to forget by the end of June when this is supposed to go down. We're going to be too busy griping about $70 games out of the Switch and then wondering where people got $80 from. I'm willing to bet that, by the way. But we'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, though, Discord continues to take more moves to want to go ahead and become a publicly traded company, as Discord is now introducing new methods of introducing video advertisements to their mobile app in the month of June. I can't stress this enough. I really do hope Discord doesn't go with an IPO. For those who just assume I am speaking Greek or something like that, here's the scoop. Discord currently is just owned by itself. It is a successful communications app. They are gaming focused. However, they want to go ahead and become a much more profitable company. You've been seeing them implement more and more methods of trying to monetize without pissing off their user base. Their goal soon is to enter what is called an IPO, or an initial public offering. This means that Discord wants to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange, and that's how they can raise even more money. The problem with becoming a publicly traded company is that now all of a sudden you become a company that is beholden to your shareholders and less to your customers. In the end, especially with a company like Discord, where the users are the product, ends up becoming a worse experience for the users. So all of a sudden, those Discord-like chat features built into the Switch 2, all of a sudden, they might not be a bad thing. What does that say about us? So yeah, expect more video advertisements. The way we've been seeing these introduced has been with cosmetic items to your chat icon within Discord, and you watch like an ad to earn said cosmetic item, which honestly is not the worst way of doing things. The user gets something out of it. The ad is viewed. They're now informed of whatever the advertiser, the people who actually paid Discord, want. And it's kind of a win-win all around. I say kind of for a reason, because some people may not believe that's a good way of doing things. Excuse me. And in the grand scheme of things, it does make the experience worse for some people because they have an annoying banner ad in the bottom right involving something they don't want to do, like this thing telling me to play Call of Duty for 15 minutes, and I really don't like playing Call of Duty. Duty. So, there's all that. Now they're looking to go ahead and move this sort of feature over to mobile as well, which this should in fact surprise literally no one. Surprise, surprise, surprise. In other news, Windows might be getting rid of the color blue for its error screens. Windows is testing a new kind of error screen, and the initial color is black. Just saying that your device has run into a problem and needs to be restart, with a little bit of information at the bottom saying why. A lot of the previous information of the previous blue screens of death have been removed, and quite frankly, you never read them anyway. And any technician pretty much never went ahead and read the raw blue screen of death. They looked for the basic message of just like IO error or boot reg not found, or pick any one of those like little things. But you will still in fact have all of the information about the crash in the usual spot. So all in all, this isn't going to go ahead and have much of a change. Here's just, I mean, when push comes to shove, the change of a blue screen of death to a black screen of death, who cares? It doesn't matter in the end. Here's the thing though, this doesn't hurt anyone and it doesn't help anyone either. So why in the flying flock are you changing this? Someone in chat said, yes, my system keeps crashing. Let me go check the logs. I can't get in my system because it keeps crashing. you boot into safe mode. If you can't boot into safe mode, guess what? You need to reinstall anyway. I hate to break it to you. I don't care what level of IT guy you are. You never ever read the RAM values on a blue screen of death. If you really, really, really wanted that information, you go into the system log, and if you can't get to the system log, guess what? You need to either reinstall the operating system, which you're going to need to do anyway, or you need to replace the hard drive or hopefully the solid state drive and reinstall the operating system anyway. This literally doesn't take away anything. CrowdStrike is a good example of why we don't do this. You could still boot the system into safe mode with the CrowdStrike problem. And also, if you're on IT of that level, you know what you're doing anyway. You are yanking logs, and if you can't yank logs, guess what? We are re-imaging back to the backup you made the night before. And if that's still broken, we're rebooting to the image from the night before that. Surprise! Yeah, again, this doesn't hurt anyone, but it doesn't help anyone. Which brings me back to my point of, why make the change? Microsoft, why did you waste manpower doing this? You got an operating system nobody likes, you're ignoring everyone, and instead we're wasting effort on making the blue screen of death black? Come on, man. This is just stupid. There's just better things to do with our lives. It's just beyond silly. Tesla is now banned from Canada. And by banned from Canada, I mean they are banned from the Canada EV rebate program. Someone in chat said it's for a cleaner user experience. You know what my answer to that is? If the user experience includes a crash screen, you f***ed up. Pardon the beep there. But there's my statement on the statement. Oh, we made the crash screen more clean for a better user experience. You need a better user experience then. Now, keep in mind, someone's saying there is no error if we give no error. There is still an error given. They still give the most useful bit of info from the blue screen of death. And it's the stop code. That's still there. So if it's a specific DLL that wasn't found and that caused the crash, or if it's an IO error that they'll show, or whatever it may be, that will still be there. It'll just be at the bottom of the screen. So you can still sit there with your phone and trying to very rapid fire take pictures of it to hopefully get one in focus to see what the stop code was in the 7 seconds the blue screen of death is on screen. You just won't have the RAM values. They should make it hot pink. Kind of like the slip that Canada gave Tesla when it came to the EV rebate program. That slip was also hot pink because they removed them from it. Yeah, that was one heck of a stretch. I don't care. I'm rolling with it. So yeah, and what one person might believe is just pettiness. Canada has in fact removed Tesla from the EV rebate program. However, the reasoning is way more meaningful than you might think. Now, as you may know, I am not a fan of Elon. I am especially not a fan of his recent choices in vehicle designing. Looking at you, Cybertruck. But apparently, Tesla was caught at very last minutes before the turnover of staying in the rebate program, having massive surges of vehicles to unknown parties so that they could still stay within the program before time limits were up. And so Canada right now is removing Tesla from the program as they investigate a suspicious $43 million in electric vehicle rebates. There might be a case of fraud going on here within Tesla. And here's the best part. Tesla infamously refuses to use dealerships. Remember this? This means that, in fact, this is not just like some independent, like random dealership going ahead and doing some funny business, and it's not actually Tesla. Oh, no. Tesla owns all their sailing outposts, which means it can be traced back to the head of Tesla. Ooh. We'll have to wait and see how that goes, but yikes! That's a bit concerning, to say the least. Meanwhile, though, Wikipedia is actually complaining about the uses of AI on the website, saying that bandwidth has surged upwards of 50%, all thanks to AI scraping bots off the website. Now, keep in mind, Wikipedia not even basically, they are a true nonprofit. They operate basically at a loss and kind of hope to break even towards the end of the year when they're just like, would you like to make a donation to the help fund? You know exactly what I'm talking about. So for their bandwidth to surge up 50% as AI just continues to scrape them for every little ounce of information, that is not helping them, because that's increasing their bills to continue to function, all for generative AI to go ahead and look at Wikipedia and go, ah, yes, ammonia, bleach, fragrant water. Good idea, yes. And this is helping, no one other than the AI companies. So what are they going to do about this? And right now, they don't know. All we can do, though, is hope for the best right now. But just hearing that this traffic is increasing that much is a bit concerning, to say the least. And what is AI even doing all of this for? What does AI do for us? Well, I'll give them credit. OpenAI actually launched a tool that went ahead and enabled politics to be kind of adorable. I'm sure you've seen this all around. OpenAI launched their new image generation tool, and one of the things that just went absolutely viral was people generating images of Studio Ghibli inspired pieces based on actual photographs. Granted, some of these were not great. I mean, you can look at this one right here, and it looks all fine, right? This is amazing. Where is this arm coming from? It's not coming from the right side of this man, because his arm is right there. It appears to be coming out of his belt. But other than that little quirk right there of oopsie whoopsie, this is actually incredible. And there are many other pieces like this as well. You can go around, you can find tons of these. All of them equally as adorable as the previous one. This is fantastic. What's the harm? I don't know. Let's ask Mr. Miyazaki, the head of Studio Ghibli, what he thinks of his studio's pride and joy being made into AI bastardizations of his work. Needless to say, he is not thrilled, especially considering how Studio Ghibli operates. They are one of the few outlets out there that still hand draw every frame. 24 frames a second, every single piece of animation still hand drawn. Just about every single Studio Ghibli film has their literal blood, sweat, and tears poured into it. And it's what gives Studio Ghibli its charm. So, of course, someone going ahead and generating something for free, and just, making something in their style that's not something they like, it feels dirty to them. And honestly, when you talk to a lot of artists about this, that's kind of the feeling across the board. It's not even about the fact that AI is going to take artist jobs. It's about the fact that AI art just has no feeling behind it compared to others. What the heck is this video thing doing? But yeah, he is beyond livid about this sort of thing. So how is this going to end up going? I don't know. I do have to wonder, do you think Studio Ghibli would sue OpenAI? The AI model had to train and skim all the data that it could off Studio Ghibli to go ahead and imitate its style as much as possible. And all that data was collected without the consent of Studio Ghibli. Do you think there's a case there? I'm not going to lie. I don't know. I really, really don't. But at the same time, I gotta wonder. In other news, though, Philips Hue is making a doorbell. I know, I forgot Philips Hue existed too. Someone in chat said it would be fun to see them try, but it would only have a shot in Japanese courts. it most likely would be in Japanese courts. Well, I don't know. It might stand a chance in I don't know. I don't know how it would go down. Like, I don't know if because both parties technically do have a US presence, if it would have to go there, or if because Studio Ghibli started in Japan, if they could raise the case there, or how it would go. I really don't. Someone who knows more about the law should go and ponder that instead of me. I should instead talk about how Philips Hue is going ahead and making a doorbell, but the big problem is the fact that the doorbell doesn't change colors. And I gotta ask, is this really a Philips Hue product if it doesn't change colors? It's their one job. It's the Philips Hue's one freaking job. And you can't do it. You can't change colors. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed, Hue. How could you not make a color changing doorbell? SMH. Meanwhile, though, scientists have created a way to... Zone and Chat did find documentation that OpenAI does in fact have offices in Japan. Ruh-roh. Ruh-roh. But oh well. Well, since we found it in Japan, we can go ahead and use the technology that scientists have found to tell OpenAI directly without telling anyone with this technology that can make sound curve so that you can say something into a crowd and reach only one person. What sort of James Bond nonsense is this? Like, the applications of this are interesting. Someone in chat said targeted advertising. I'm pretty sure it would be used for military purposes before targeted advertising. It's still an interesting concept. The fact that you could say something and only one person would hear it and all the other people next to them would not. I don't know about you guys. I would imagine the dream for advertisers is to tell everyone, not to tell one specific person to go buy a t-shirt. Buy a t-shirt right now. Oh, buy a t-shirt. You'd want to go ahead and tell everyone to buy a t-shirt, not just one specific person. Like, the whole point of this is to be covert, to go ahead and tell only one specific person one specific thing you really want them to know. Oh, well. But nope, everyone's going to think ads first. Not everything is exactly as Futurama says. No, they don't want to be considered annoying. They want to... I don't think I don't think chat understands the core concept of advertising. Finally, we go to the last burb, the last story of the day, the weirdest story of the week. Something that makes even less sense than advertisers that want to use a brand new technology to tell one specific person to go buy a t-shirt and nothing else. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you a new social media site that has an open and close time. I am dead serious about this. The new website 739 is open specifically from 7:39 p.m. Eastern to 10:39 p.m. Eastern. And then it closes up. All right, here are geniuses. Seeing as how you crack the code on advertising that telling one specific person one specific thing is better than telling a crowd of people to go ahead and buy your thing. Tell me, what is the true goal of the 3-hour open social media website? I want to hear your brilliant ideas. One person says that 739 doesn't want to impose on people during peak workday times, thus is open only for this time period. That's not the worst guess. And you know what? That probably is a better idea than what they came up with, because their actual mission is social media is better when we're all online together. No endless scrolling, no FOMO, just 3 hours of fun every evening. No FOMO! No FOMO! What in the flying flock are you talking about? You're only open 3 hours a day. There is 100% FOMO. The only way you could be more FOMO is if you gave away reading credit every day. You have an open and close time every day and are building hype around that. It just no FOMO. No, FOMO, for those who don't know, is fear of missing out. Imagine you had a rough day and then you finally got home at 10:40. Oh no, I missed my time on 7:39. Now, oh, what have I all missed? Oh no, that's FOMO. That's fear of missing out. 100%. This is all FOMO. Folks, that's gonna do it for this episode of Eagle Eyes on Tech. Thank you so much for listening. And I encourage you to check out my other works at twitch.tv/EagleFalcon and youtube.com/EagleFalcon. Take care, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Someone in chat mentioned that imagine McDonald's only selling breakfast foods before 11 a.m. Unironically, there was legitimate FOMO for me back in my college days because the McDonald's on the way into class, I had a noon class. Their lunch foods, I don't know how they did it, but everything was dry and it tasted inedible. But holy cow, the breakfast items were just top tier. And anytime I overslept, there definitely was a FOMO of missing out on that. And on the way in, just getting a dry as heck McChicken instead of actually getting an Egg McMuffin. It was the worst. And back then, there weren't, like, everything was frozen. There wasn't like at least nowadays, like the quarter pounder is supposed to be fresh. I don't know if it actually is, nor if I had one recently. But no, let me tell you. There was legitimate FOMO there. Don't try to go ahead and say like, oh man, McDonald's only having breakfast food so early is FOMO. It totally is. You can't tell me otherwise.